Are your kids glued to their screens and you're not sure how to set limits without a battle? Wellness coach Nicole Briggs shares her screen time guidelines by age, why kids just want someone to truly listen to them, and a powerful energy audit tool you can use today to show up better for the kids in your life. I'm Tom.
And I'm Jeannie. We are siblings on a mission to help kids become their strongest selves. Each episode, we share proven strategies with parents, teachers, and all who work with youth and teens to build resilient, confident kids who can tackle life's challenges and thrive. Welcome to the Raising Resilient Kids podcast.
All right, Jeannie, I am incredibly psyched because we have one of my favorite people on the planet with us today. And it is
Okay.
impossible to be in a bad mood when you're around this person.
All right. I already like them.
Yes. So we have Nicole Briggs. I actually met her through all of like the Benson Henry, the Harvard, the Massachusetts General Hospital training that I went through, to teach all this resiliency stuff to kids and to adults and everything like that. So she has gotten all the certifications. She's been doing a ton of work in her community around resiliency, working with kids one-on-one, going into schools, actually working with veterans too and their families and all that stuff. And she's done gone a lot deeper into some of the topics that I'm not as familiar with. Phone use is a big one around kids.
Wow.
How much should you allow your kid to use it at what age and things
Ooh.
like that. So I know that's a
Okay.
question that always
Very
comes up.
hot
So
topic. Yeah, absolutely.
Nicole has been in the wellness industry for over 25 years and has the privilege of helping more than 10,000 people, from teens to veterans, find relief from stress and reconnect with their health and well-being. Her journey began with a bachelor's degree in neuroscience, so she's also much smarter than me,
Whoa.
not only nicer than
Whoa.
me, but smarter than me, and a deep curiosity about the human mind and body. That curiosity led her to train at Harvard and Massachusetts General Hospital's mind-body medicine program as a positivity and resiliency trainer. And she's also a certified life coach. Today at Bella Viva Wellness, Nicole helps clients heal from the inside out, teaching them how to relax, unwind the effects of stress, and create real lasting change. She's passionate about helping her clients learn how to manage stress because when they do, something powerful happens. They rediscover joy, resilience, and better health.
Mhm.
And when not working with clients, she'll find her with her 4 kids that are fantastic. I hear all about them. They sound like they are amazing kids. So, Nicole, thank you so much for being
Hi,
here.
Nicole. Thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here with both of you. Such great energy, such big smiles. Like, it's just an honor to be here. So thank you for that beautiful introduction. I really appreciate that.
To start, let's jump into, the phone use was the one that you kind of weave that into a lot of your programs and everything. What would you say to, the parents out there? What is the ideal, timing? What age, how much time when we're thinking about phone use for our kids?
And I think, just to be honest, I think it's something that all parents struggle with, myself included, trying to
Mhm.
find that balance. What I see is the more we give them, the more they get hooked. And that's
Yeah.
intentional, right? So it's really about setting those boundaries, understanding what's going on in the cell phone technology world at the best that we can. I think something that as parents, we really forget that it's okay to not always be the cruise ship director for our kids, that
Hmm.
Mm.
boredom is actually a really
Yeah.
beautiful thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
From boredom comes relaxation, contemplation, creativity, problem solving. And these
Yeah.
Yeah.
phones have taken us away from the whole art of being bored.
Yeah.
And I just would love to invite parents to be, okay with that. When my kids come to me and they're like, I'm bored, I'm like, yes. Because in those moments as a kid, that's when I actually made up the best games. That's when I figured things out or
Mhm.
contemplated my own life or who I was.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I think that piece is really important for parents to just be mindful of. We don't have to manage every moment of their day or feel like they have to have something keeping them stimulated. Sometimes less is more.
Yeah.
One of my favorite books was The Anxious Generation. It's really powerful when you see the statistics and the studies that are being done and how kids have changed emotionally, behaviorally, and mentally from technology. What we know for sure is like 0 to 24 months, kids do not need any technology, right?
Yeah.
Like they are
Yeah.
so good at playing and keeping themselves busy. So I would
Mhm.
say try to avoid during that time frame anything between the ages of 2 and 5, very limited, maybe 30 minutes, make it educational. Their play is their work.
Yeah.
That's all
Yeah.
they need. And then 6 to 12, 30 minutes, which I know might
Mm.
sound surprising to some people, but 30
Yeah.
Yeah.
minutes, I would say, is the max. Um, that's still hard for people today. And then as teenagers, really 1 to 2 hours. And
Okay.
when I
Okay.
say that, like, I feel like calling people, FaceTiming, and texting, those are the means of communication for teenagers that they need, and that's kind of
Right.
like a lifeline. That I don't see needing to have as strong of, restrictions on, because, like, when I was a kid, I would, like, call people on the phone and talk for hours, like, that's our
Sure.
Yeah.
communication. We need to do that. We need that
Mhm.
social interaction. So I think what I would really hesitate and or warn parents is that you don't want screens to ever replace their sleep, right? Their social
Mhm.
connection, their time to do
Yeah.
homework, and family time. That's kind of like
Yeah.
those non-negotiables. And the other piece I think is really important is that we as parents need to model the behavior that
Yeah.
we are requiring, because
Yeah.
kids will they're watching. They're
Yeah.
watching what you say.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
it doesn't match what you do, they're gonna be like, "Oh, I but you do it,"
They're
and
gonna clock it. Yeah.
they'll be the first to point it out to you. So,
Mhm.
I think
Mhm.
it's important for parents to remember, like, model the behavior that you want, set those boundaries, and just be really clear with your intentions around what, when, and where we're gonna use phones. What are the stipulations? Is it closing it down 1 hour before bed, family
Yeah.
dinner time, all of that. Create your own, screen time rules. So in
Mm.
my family, it's no phones an hour before bedtime so that doesn't
Okay.
interfere with your sleep.
And then
Um,
Nicole, do you actually have them keep their phones outside of their
yes.
rooms?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So at
think it's a
night.
big one because the temptation is so great.
Yeah.
Totally.
My phone, it's
Totally.
like candy in your bedroom.
It's
That's true.
addicting, right? We all
There.
Yeah.
know it's
I gotta
addicting.
eat
Yeah.
it,
Yep.
and so I
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
don't want them to have that temptation. We always have dinners without screens, right? It's just like they're put away. That's our time to
Yeah.
connect. Sometimes it's the only
Yeah.
time we have to connect.
Yeah.
And
True.
just really be present when your kids are chatting with you. Put your phone away. Just be present.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks,
Yeah.
Nicole. Excellent. Excellent. Kind of transitioning a little bit. I know you do a lot of one-on-one coaching with kids on these topics. Are there any, maybe could you share a few techniques that you think seem to resonate with the kids, you work with most?
Yeah, I think you probably have very similar, experience, but I
Okay.
think one of their favorites is the minis. They're
Okay.
just simple
Mm.
breathing
Yep.
exercises. They take them
Yeah.
anywhere, anytime, but when they start realizing how much it's helping them, they can just do it right
Yeah.
before an exam or do it before they start driving hours, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That tends to be their favorite, and then I think the other one is, positive self-talk. When you start asking kids, like, "What are the things you're saying to yourself every day?" and you have them write it down, don't realize how unkind they are to themselves.
Yeah.
And they're
Yeah.
True.
like, "Wow." I'm like, "W" and then, of course, like you would say, Tom, like, "Would you ever say that to your best friend?" Like,
Right.
Mm-mm.
"No, but why are you
Nope.
Yeah.
saying it to yourself?" Like,
Nope.
Yeah.
so it's a really great opportunity for them to reframe that and create either a neutral or positive statement. And they find like they go back to that and they use it again and again before, a sporting event or even before an exam. Like just changing the words that they're saying to themselves really impacts how they feel. And it's again simple. I find kids love simple, simple, simple. Keep it
Mhm.
easy.
Sometimes though we'll say, "Hey, you need to do this breathing technique," and you get a little bit of the roll of the eyes from the kids, and
Mm.
there is there anything you do to have them be more open to it?
That's a great question. I think I always start with the end in mind, and I'm like, "So what's in it for you?" And well, first, I love to geek out on this because when I teach stress, like, I think my excitement gets kind of infectious because they're like, "Wow, she's really
I would
excited about
agree.
this. What's happening?"
I
'Cause
would agree.
I love the topic. Um, but then it's really nice because I make it relatable to them. Like, what's
Mm.
happening? How is stress affecting you personally?
Mhm.
And so they kinda do that little inventory, and then I'm like, "Okay, so would it be helpful if you found a way to just start lowering your stress levels And how would you show up differently if you weren't so stressed or anxious
That's
in these
great.
areas of your life? So I kind of get a little more buy-in from them because it's all about them. It's not just
Mm.
science. It's not just about breathing is good for you.
Yeah.
It's applicable to their situation, their life, and their experiences.
Would you say that, because I know, you've got the background in neuroscience, a lot of the mind-body connection stuff. A lot of that stuff might be a little bit, over a kid's head. Is that the same thing you're doing where you're making it relevant to them? Or how do you kinda introduce those topics?
Yeah. Oh, I actually will talk about the prefrontal cortex. I
Okay.
talk about the
Cool.
amygdala because then they
Yeah.
sound cool when they talk about it.
It's so
Yeah.
true.
They go
So
home,
true.
right, and they talk about it with their parents, and their parents are like,
Yeah.
"Wait, what?" So I think there's a cool factor to it. I mean, maybe that's
Yeah.
just me as a science geek, but I
Yeah.
think there's something about it that even if it's just those 2 terms, right, where they latch on to understanding that and how those 2 parts of our brain are connected to our nervous system, right?
Yeah.
And it
Mhm.
just gives them a little bit of like, "Okay, there's some cool science here, like, I'm
Mhm.
gonna remember that." And then I do quiz them, so that's the best part. I'm like,
Okay.
"Remember this," like,
Right.
there's a little quiz at the end. I try to
So
bring that
true.
passion into these topics because I think it's infectious. I do personally, and I think I see them listening and paying attention a little bit more.
And now a word from our sponsors.
Is your young athlete struggling with nerves, lack of confidence, or getting stuck in their head during competition? Mind of a Champion solves this. This program gives kids a mental toolkit to stay focused under pressure, bounce back from mistakes, and perform their best. These aren't just sports skills, they're life skills. Check out the link in the show notes for more information. Back to the podcast.
Passion is so important. I know, just from a little side note, like vacations that we go on, I want to visit all the presidential museums. So
Mhm.
whenever we go on vacation, I always drag my kids to a presidential museum. And we always get a guided tour, and they're always miserable about when we go there. And at the end, I'm like, "Did you have fun?" They always say, "Yeah, that was
Yeah.
fun." Like, why? Well, it's because of the passion of that person was volunteer, probably a volunteer there,
Mhm.
talking about that president and everything they love about it. It's infectious.
Mm,
Oh,
yeah.
so, yeah.
It's so cool, so cool.
So
Um,
true.
so your coaching sessions, obviously, we heard they include quizzes, which I'm glad I wasn't part of the coaching session. But can you maybe talk us through kind of what that experience is like, how you structure those sessions?
Yeah, sure. So, I work either with groups or I work one on one. So they're very
Okay.
different. But what I will say is I always meet the kids where they're at.
Mm.
And we really take baby steps. I might teach them some topics that are a little bit higher than where they might be at, but I'm not afraid to do that because
Mhm.
I'll reintegrate it again and again. We have a great workbook that we go through. It's super colorful. We take little action steps every single week. And we
Mm.
Nice.
just, I want the kids to feel successful. I want them to master even the teeny little steps because we know like even 1% change over time adds up. So we just want to move the needle a little bit and show them that success and that progress. They'll want more. And I find that when they're doing the work together, the group piece,
Mm.
Yeah.
and they share some of their experiences, like there's power in that because that's that
Yeah.
social
Definitely.
proof, right?
Yeah.
When I
Definitely.
work one on one, it's really great because I'm their cheerleader. Like I'm so
Yeah.
excited for them as they figure these things out, or they say like, "Oh, I actually used a mini right before my exam, and guess what? It
Yeah.
helped." And I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah.
no way. Great. I'm so glad to hear that?" So yeah, we really just start where they are. And the other thing I would say that's really important this day and age is that I really try to listen deeply to the students without
Mm.
looking for solutions, which is
Okay.
hard because I, as a
Yeah.
Yeah.
parent, I'm a solution finder.
Sure.
And what
Yeah.
I've found more than ever is that kids just want somebody that listens to them.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I give that space, I hold that space for them to be able to do that. And that builds that rapport and that respect. I'm not
Mhm.
there
Yeah.
to solve all their problems. I'm just there to support them with their stress and with their problems. Yeah.
Yeah, that listening is so critical, and it's just, life gets busy, so it's kind of hard
Mhm.
for us sometimes to do that, and sometimes it's even hard to draw the kid out. I know I've talked to other parents, even teachers too, where sometimes they'll introduce these concepts, and then they can't listen because the kid just has a blank look and they really don't open up. Do you
Mhm.
have any ways to kind of that with either the group classes or the individual classes that you're able to kind of draw kids out, be able to have them talk about some of these things?
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, mostly what I do is I just let them be where they are, and I
Okay.
let them have that control and that autonomy over what they're experiencing because, it's like bringing a toddler to a grocery store who's having a tantrum, and then you're trying to, like, talk them down about why they can't have the chocolate. It doesn't always work. So I
Yeah.
do give them that space, or what I'll do also is just be mindful of, like, maybe they need to switch gears, and so we'll play a game.
Okay.
And so just
Oh,
making
okay.
something
Nice.
really light again, it takes them out of, like, whatever it was that shut them down to begin with. And then I just say, like, "You can participate or you not. It's okay. Like, just be where you are and be okay with that." Like, I respect that. We need to have permission to be able to just be where we're at and feel what
Yeah.
we're feeling.
Sure.
It's
Yeah.
not always fun when they're not participating because I feel like I wanna teach them, but they're still listening. They don't always have to be active to get the information.
You especially learn that as your kids get older. I've realized that, the things I didn't think they were listening, years later, they start
Mhm.
doing, and I'm like, "Oh, okay,
Yeah.
they were actually listening
Yeah.
all this
Like,
time." So,
and
yeah, it's
I can attest that his youngest daughter, and she came out to visit me here in California for her spring break, and she talked about, like, a breathing technique that she had done before a test, and I didn't even acknowledge, like, "Oh, that sounds very your dad of you," but I was just like, "Oh, she how encouraging for time. She
Right.
was been listening all this time."
So you do a lot of work with kids, but the adults too. I know that the heroes in transition work that you do is so
Cool.
important. It's so wonderful. Can you talk to us about the adult stuff that you do, and for the parents, the teachers, the coaches out there, what recommendations you have for them to kind of incorporate this stuff, these self care routines into their lives?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So, the work that I do with veterans has been really meaningful to me. There's a lot of PTSD there, and there's a
Yeah,
lot of struggles. There's a lot of anxiety. And so, being able to teach these tools to them is really powerful for them, but it's powerful for all of us.
yeah,
And I think what I'm seeing right now is that educators and coaches are themselves super overwhelmed and
yeah,
dysregulated. They're
Mhm.
super stressed. I mean, I don't know anybody today that's not feeling more stressed than usual. And so I think I'd love to see more of like that top-down approach. And I have had meetings at our school about the coaches and educators having
great.
more support themselves because how do
Yeah,
we hold space for other people, especially students, when they're dysregulated and they're stressed and anxious? I just feel like it's so important if our educators and our coaches can get this support first and they can feel more filled up, then there's a trickle down effect, right? I will say at our school, though, we did have a doctor come in who's working with all the coaches.
Oh,
And
okay.
I'm really excited about
that's
that
great.
because he's been in the mental performance arena and he is really helping coaches try to understand how they show up and just what a privilege it is. Like,
Yeah,
I think of like the work we do, Tom, is like, I feel like we're coaches and like we
yeah,
have this
Definitely.
amazing privilege to help kids. And like, I want to show up as the best version of myself. If I'm
yeah,
drained and depleted, I don't have a lot to give,
exactly.
and
Right.
same thing with my kids, like, I wanna show up as the best version of myself, so how do I do that? Well, first and foremost, you have to take care of yourself.
This is great. This is great, Nicole. If listeners want to learn more about your programs, where can they connect with you?
Yeah.
Can you share
Yes.
that with
Yeah,
us?
so you can go to my website, it's Bella Viva, Cape Cod, that's where I'm located.com, so Bella Viva means beautiful life, so helping
Mhm.
people create a beautiful life from the inside out, like you alluded to in the beginning. We have a wellness practice, we offer massage therapy and coaching, to kids, veterans, everything in between, 0 to whatever age, because we need it, we all need a little more support today. I need it, I have my own coaches, I'll always have a
Yeah,
coach. I just feel like it really helps me get to the places that I want to be at, and somebody's holding space and listening deeply to me, and it's a beautiful thing when you can do that.
it definitely is. So, can you give us one more, maybe a practical tip? One practical tip from what you do with kids or with the veterans or adults that you think a coach, a teacher, or a child could implement
Yes.
starting today?
One of my favorite tools, I think, is the energy battery tool.
Nice.
What it's great to do is you just grab a piece of paper,
Okay.
draw a line down the middle. On the left side, you're going to put your energy drains. And on
Okay.
the right side, you're going to put the things that fill the bucket fillers or the energy fillers. And I want you to think about who are the people, the places, the events, the activities that drain your battery on one
Yeah.
side. And then the other side, write down all of the things that give you energy. What are the things that fuel you up, make you feel good, like give you more
Yeah.
energy? So you complete the list. And then what you do is you go back through one more time. And when you go through the second time, first you look at the energy drains and you say, what of these things can I delegate, let go of,
Yeah.
or give myself space from? And then you look at the energy giving side and you say, what of these things could I be doing more of? Because I think our energy audit is really important as we move through the day. We wake up with a certain amount of energy, right? And if we're
Mhm.
constantly taking from the energy
Yeah.
battery, we're going to be depleted.
Yeah.
But if we can have deposits in throughout the day and we have to know what they are. And I always say awareness is the key to change. Like if you don't know, how are you going to find ways to deposit into your
Mhm.
Yeah.
battery?
Mhm.
Really
Yeah.
want people to be able to know what it is that drains them, know what it is that fuels them back up, and just have a tool that they can work with every day and just kind of hang it somewhere so you can look at it, be like, ooh, I'm going to be interacting with that person today. They're
Yeah.
drained. Maybe I step back a little bit. Maybe I don't engage so much. It's just really managing our own self and knowing what works for us and what doesn't work for us and just holding true to that.
Nicole, this has been fantastic. You definitely are somebody on the positive side of my energy battery. So, any final thoughts, words, advice, suggestions for the audience?
Sure. Yeah. I think if we could all just learn to slow down a little bit, it would
Mm,
be really
Mhm.
nice. Put your phones away a little bit more.
yeah.
Mhm.
Be present. You'll
Yeah.
never regret being present for people. Be okay to make mistakes and let your kids make mistakes.
Yeah.
Listen deeply to loved ones. And I think ultimately just do more of what you love. Like, don't lose
Mhm.
track of what's important to you and what you love to do. Just keep remembering yourself and what you love and do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Wonderful advice, Nicole.
Thank
Thank
you
you
Thank you
so much.
so much, Nicole.
This has
so
been great.
welcome. Such a pleasure to be with you two today. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, Tom, once again, you know me so well. You know when I'm really going to love somebody. And boy, did I love Nicole.
Yeah, I knew you would.
So much of what she said, I just loved, but especially what she said at the end and where she kind of like gave like all these bullet points. I feel like if it was Nicole Briggs' guide to life and it would be all the things she said at the end, slow down, to be present, be okay to make mistakes. When she was saying them, I was just thinking about how lucky her children are to have her wisdom, how lucky the people that she works with are to have her wisdom. It reminded me of little phrases that our dad used to say. And I know I felt that way about our dad. He used to always say to me, do what makes you happy, remember what's important, and count your blessings. And I feel like those just coincide so well with Nicole's kind of guide to life. And that conversation made me so happy.
I love it. That's awesome. I'll give you a dad quote. Life is too short to be serious too long.
Oh
That
my
was
God.
another one of my favorite ones
That
of his.
was definitely another one of his.
And when Pete and I were kids, when we used to ask him for money, he used to go, hold on, and then he would pretend like he was pooping out money and then hand it to us.
I bet your
Good
dad's
times.
up in heaven going, really? Can we go back to the three original? No, he's actually loving that we're telling the story. He wants to be remembered by that last one as opposed to the three that I said. Now, what about for you? Obviously, I know you're such good friends with Nicole, so you've learned a lot from her. Is there anything, new that you learned about or something that stuck out from this conversation?
Yeah, like I told you from the beginning of me wanting to have her on the podcast, she's just awesome. It's so important to be around great, positive, kind people, and she's definitely one that I love, to be around, to call up. Unfortunately, she's not too close to me, but I still get to talk to her, a few times a year to check in and things like that. So that's great. So yeah, a lot of great stuff. that I've heard from her consistently over the years. The one that I guess I'll point out is maybe the boredom piece. Now that we're going into the summer, giving them time to be bored and knowing that that's okay and it's an important experience. And that's where a lot of your best, most creative ideas come from, when you're not constantly have something to do. So
Yes.
I think that's what I'm going to try to be a little bit more bored this summer. And I guess I'd encourage everybody out there to do the same with both them and their kids.
That is such another wise wisdom from Nicole.
So I guess that's it for season 3. Thanks for doing this with me, Jeannie.
Of course. I love doing this so much. Another awesome season of incredible guests. We hope that you all have a wonderful summer. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you in September.
The Raising Resilient Kids podcast is sponsored by Happy You're Here, educational, safe, and joyful videos for kids. Through music, visuals, and sound, your baby, toddler, and preschooler will learn about letters, numbers, and so much more. Happy You're Here is quality screen time that both kiddos and their adults can feel good about. Head to www.youtube.com/@SoHappyYouAreHere to check it out, or click on the link in the show notes.
The Raising Resilient Kids podcast is also sponsored by the Resilient Youth Program. If you're a parent, teacher, or school administrator who wants to incorporate a proven resiliency building program into your school's curriculum, then the Resilient Youth Teach the Teacher program is exactly what you need. This curriculum brings coping skills and life management tools into the school environment to help students better manage daily stress and positively impact their academic performance, mental health, and well-being. For more information, visit the Resilient Youth Teach the Teacher website in the show notes, or at www.smarthwp.com/RY4teachers. That's www.smarthwp.com/RY4teachers. The Raising Resilient Kids podcast is produced, hosted, and edited by brother and sister team Tom and Jeannie Klishevitz. Do you have a question you would like answered by one of our expert guests? If so, visit www.smarthwp.com/Raising Resilient Kids podcast. Thanks for listening.